That's not where I was going. I was going rolling, rolling, rolling.
Keep them doggies rolling.
No.
Rawhide.
No. What's the one with the rock band? The rolling, rolling. Oh, they're like punk 90s, not punk, like rock rap. When Linkin Park was famous. Keep rolling, 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 rolling. No, you must know it.
Keep doing that. That'll help
keep
though.
Rolling, 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 rolling.
I don't.
Limp Bizkit. There it is. Keep rolling.
Okay.
It's literally called Keep Running.
Oh wow.
Air raid vehicle rolling. Yeah. How do you not know that song, Chris?
I'm not a big Limp Bizkit fan.
I don't think I know any of the other songs, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, no, but see, yeah, if I ever hear a rollin', it's the first thing that does come to my mind is Clueless.
Oh,
Rolling with the homies.
Right, not Rawhide.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then you did the rolling, and of course,
Oh, that is old.
Right.
Welcome back to the best thing you watch this week. There's Chris from Movies and Munchies. Myself, Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday. We still ourselves. Congratulate us. Thank you for joining us on the best thing we watched. We're going to have an interesting week this week. I feel like I say that every week, but every week is true because of one thing or another that happens during the week of whether the content is crappy or good. I think we have a bit of a mixed mash this week.
Yeah.
So we'll see where we end up. Chris and I are definitely going to have an interesting conversation on one of them, which is always fun. Chris will be doing his movie quiz that he does every week, and I'll be doing a stupid question in the audio exclusive. We're going to be talking about a movie that's quite close to my heart because it's literally filmed where I grew up. I in fact, have been to some of those shots that you see in the movie called Tootsie.
Oh, really?
Or Tootsie. One of the best, if not the best, South African films we've had to date. So we're going to be talking about an audio exclusive bit, and then we'll talk about what we're looking forward to and some news in that audio exclusive bit. However, we still do all the normal stuff here. What's the best thing you watched? Movie quiz, and whatever tangents we go on. Don't forget, we have a Patreon. Got new content dropping every week for just £1, and this week's top is the top 3 Adam Sandler's. Because we have never done one, and Adam Sandler's family has just dropped a new film on Netflix, so we thought it'd be a great time to do that. So if you want to support us for just £1, follow the link to the Patreon. I'm sure Chris will put a link somewhere on our eyeballs.
I try not to do that.
Let's get started, Chris.
Cool. Okay, movie quote quiz. Let's talk about the winners first. So we had Tara Briscoe, Red Comet, and Chris Retzlaff. All got all 3 correct.
Nice.
But then Jeff Hoffman and Nostromo got 2 out of the 3. So still, good job.
Cool.
Means I was able to stump you just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
The answers from last week: Armageddon, Zoolander, and Cars. So
I got the
Owen
first
Wilson.
and third one. The Zoolander one.
Sure. And that was kind of a random one within there too,
yeah.
So cool.
Can you do the look? Wow. For audio, we're trying to do the Smolder look. I guess it's their Smolder from Zoolander. It's like the eyebrow.
Blue steel.
That's what Blue steel. That's right. Blue steel. Yeah.
It's mesmerizing.
I think I just hurt my head.
Okay. You ready for this week's?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Nick, I've tried everything. The embassy, the German government, the consulate. I even talked to the UN ambassador. It's no use. I just can't bring my wife to orgasm.
Wow. Okay. I wasn't expecting that.
I knew you were. That was I love it. Okay, number 2. Come on, it's Czechoslovakia. We zip in, we pick them up, we zip right out again. We're not going to Moscow. It's Czechoslovakia. It's like going into Wisconsin.
Okay.
Gentlemen, I think you both should realize the gravity of this moment. I've spent the last 2.5 years of my life preparing for this penetration.
This, my mind is like, this has got to be Airplane or Hot Shots, those type of movies. Oh my gosh. Okay. Great.
So there is a theme.
Naked Gun.
Yeah. No. it may not be wildly obvious. But yeah. Anyway, okay. Let us know. Give us your guesses. Put a couple spaces in there so that everybody else has a chance to guess as well. We'll give you the shout out next week. Ruben, though, hit us with a question.
Okay, so yeah, I'm trying to think of how to word this question. So I recently did a review for The Winter King.
Oh yeah,
which is based on the Bernard Cromwell books. He did he did a few for The Last Kingdom, and then he's done these, and he's one of the writers on this series. There's 3 writers that have adapted this series. I've seen the first 5, loved it, and didn't have an issue with it. But surprisingly to me, this has been the series that has the most, for me it's toxic, others say it's not, that like they don't like because they feel like it's historically inaccurate because of people of what do they call it, blackwashing. So if you like, Merlin is black, and you wouldn't have had people that are black around that time. I try to take the point of Merlin as a fantasy character, Arthur's a fantasy, not real. But I think their argument is that historically speaking, like if you take real places and you're trying to go for sort of authentic in a fantasy setting, then they should adhere to blah blah blah. And that's not the case in Bernard Cromwell's books either. The Merlin wasn't black, so blah 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 blah. We've heard this argument loads of times within toxic culture. For me, it's toxic. For them, it's not. So the question is, because is it okay to change things like that? Because we get so many remakes of an IP that is dear to people's hearts, right? So like Lord of the Rings. We had a series with new content, and people just hated that. Like they just jumped on it. This is the worst thing you've ever seen. And for me, it's one of the best things I've ever seen. It's like, this is incredible TV. It's, don't get me wrong, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, the trilogy will always be my favorite, probably until the day I die, my favorite trilogy of all time. That just stay there. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I thought the series was incredible. Probably changed some of the characters somewhat, but they're still doing their own thing. So here we have Arthur, that storyline, and that's been done like at least 20 times, various different versions, right? Like at least 20 times. This is based on books. The question is a big one. Like, what do we think about this? Like, is it okay should we be closer to if we're adapting from the books? Or is it okay to take some stuff for TV and adapt it to what works for your TV series? Or are they just trying to incorporate, what's the word? They're trying to be
woke?
All encompassing, make sure that you have all colors and presets and all races.
Inclusive.
So how far is too far, I guess, is the question.
So all you that are worried about a black Merlin, your racism card is out. Your hood is showing, so you probably should tuck that back in and go along to your little KKK meetings. And probably some people just tuned out and good. Bye-bye. Okay, so if you're taking something absolutely historical, I think at that point you should maintain as much accuracy as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you wouldn't take George Washington, say, and make him but if you're retelling,
even those, like we've had, where there'll be a
Hamilton.
number of like you can do on any president's life story, and you'll have 3 or 4 different movies, and they'll all show different aspects and be different.
That's true. Yeah, well, I think from at least from a fiction standpoint, good Lord, whatever. You know what I mean? We're talking about made up things here. So, and in this case, which I find even more surprising from fans, and I use that term very loosely, and for those in the audio, I'm using the air quotes. The writer of the book is one of the writers on the series. do you not, just like in Sandman, when everybody got all up in arms because, oh my gosh, you've changed what Neil Gaiman did. Dude, Neil Gaiman himself was involved in this, and he came out and said, we've changed this because I wouldn't write it the same if I was writing it now.
Okay, well, let's say that he's been credited there just because he's the original author, so they gave him a credit in writing. And I think one of the episodes, they have a village where Merlin, they call it Avalon, and basically it's a village for people that are outcasts and rogues, where all are welcome from all walks of life.
Sure. Okay.
And so there we have different races, and a lot of them are colored, skinned people, so black, whichever part of the world you hail from, they all kind of find a home under this banner.
Okay.
Which is part of, like, so one person will say, well, Merlin's black. I might be able to believe that because there might be one sort of Saxon or, whatever. I'm trying to think what the Moorish, the Moors, Robin Hood, that kind of thing.
Yes. the Morgan Freeman there.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then they get really upset that there's a bunch. And I'm not just saying a little, but it's been like absolutely whitewashed or blackwashed on IMDb. A bunch of people, like, they just scored it really low. They've scored it really low on Rotten Tomatoes, although it's funny that it's still quite high with the critics rating, that they quite like it. So either there's a minority of people that speak the loudest, or there is something about how much Hollywood is so scared of not being all inclusive because people, the small minority, are the loudest on the internet. The balance.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think, like, for me, I love the diversity that we see in shows and series because for so long there hasn't been.
Yeah.
This is entertainment. I think people forget that.
They do.
This is
a historical document.
Even if it is a historical document, it's provided for our entertainment, right? It's not a documentary. It's
even if it's a documentary and it's a different. What my wife said to me, or was it my sister? I think my sister. She said, even if it swung the other way, and for the next 20 years, we get only mixed race or colored people, black people playing the roles of white people, that is okay, because it's been so far the other way. The balance will take a long time to get. And how interesting would it be if we got an amazing black actor to play Superman? How different perspectives from different cultures.
That's the thing. I mean, think about, now I have not seen the movie, and some people loved it, some people hated it, whatever, but The Little Mermaid, the remake. Okay. Again, a complete fantasy.
Yes. I remember how upset people got.
Oh my gosh, she's black.
Yeah. I was more upset about her hair, to be honest. I was like, where's the orange hair? Come on.
Well, but the videos that we saw of the little girls who are now finally able to go, she looks like me.
Yeah, I mean, there were those videos on TikTok, and those, if you've watched that and not come away with, yeah, all right, fair enough, that I have a heart.
Yeah, why? I mean, there are so many movies, like what your sister had said. I mean, there are so many movies that look like me.
Yeah.
Right? There are not a lot of English language movies that don't look like me predominantly.
Yeah.
And if you're threatened by that, that is not the content's problem. That is your problem. If you are upset or triggered or whatever because somebody that doesn't look like you is on the screen, especially if you're white, you need to get over yourself. You need to jog on, because that is just, I'm sorry.
Because how great it would be one day if we have a female black paraplegic gay person that's in the lead of a superhero or TV series, and it's just normal. Like, we don't bat an eyelid. It isn't made out to be a big thing.
Right? And it's sad that we get excited when we see somebody being represented who hasn't been before, because it's so novel. You know what I mean? Like, it
when
should
we watched
be normal.
Moon, what's it called?
Moon Knight or Hawkeye, both of them.
Oh, both of them. But Moon Knight, I remember you and I talking to each other on Facebook or whatever when we saw the Egyptian superhero. And I thought that was so damn cool. But wouldn't it be great if that's not like, we're just like, oh, that's normal now. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You're just cool. You know, I mean, it's just a superhero, right?
Yeah.
That's what, because we are no longer, I mean, it becomes an even playing field then, you know? And so that every race, every, you know, gender orientation, whatever, however you want to word that, is represented. You know what I mean? So anybody at any time can look at something and go, oh yeah, I see myself in that. That's awesome. That's cool.
Because so many men in the comments that are obviously, I guess, weak in their masculinity go, when are we going to get men in the leading roles again? Men, you know, white middle-aged men. It's like, dude, you have a million to fall back on. You're all right. Let somebody else kind of be in the camera now.
Yeah, from pretty much the beginning of movies.
Yeah,
that's
from
who
talkies,
has been.
It was male, white, middle-aged men leads. Yeah.
Yeah, I want a good performance. That's what I want.
Yeah.
So, good Lord. Ugh.
Okay, that was quite a tangent. That was a big. That was a big question. It's a big topic, really.
Yeah. That was a good one. It was important.
Yeah, it's good to talk about these things. This is what our platform is for, really, for entertainment in a nutshell. And we live in interesting times with entertainment, which is we'll talk a little bit about that in the news segment. But let's talk about what entertained us this week.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first? My list is rather short.
Okay. I got to watch Ahsoka, the first 2 episodes. They finally came out. And I am so happy that Star Wars is good again. This is... Okay, so I love The Mandalorian, season 1, 2, and 3, even though people had issues with some of the episodes. I did as well. Sure. There's one with Rodriguez where the mopeds were like... Oh,
but that was Boba Fett, wasn't it? That was Boba Fett.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Boba Fett.
Still point taken.
Yeah, what? I don't know what they were doing with Boba Fett, but there's, you know, some of the movies haven't quite worked for fans, and they're all over the place. And fair enough. For me, though, this was a love letter to Star Wars fans. From the opening credits to the spaceship going across the screen, exactly like we have with A New Hope, like some of those, The Empire Strikes Back, there are just absolute nods to Star Wars. Like, this is what makes Star Wars. Star Wars cues in the score. The linking from Rebels to this is fantastic. So you don't have to have watched Rebels, but if you have, you will see so much in these first 2 episodes, in the backgrounds, the murals, the characters depicted on the walls, weapons, armor sets. And I like the idea that Ahsoka is going to be training a Padawan that's kind of had a failed relationship. It's a nice kind of reflection of her relationship with Vader, with Anakin, who she walked away from his training a while back. And if you've watched the Clone Wars, you understand part of that. And we all know what Anakin becomes later.
Wait, what?
What?
Is that a spoiler?
He kills younglings.
That's dark.
And then we get the fight scene. So there's, if you've... I'm trying to tell people, like, what do they need to watch before they go and watch? I would say you need to watch 1 episode of The Mandalorian in season 2, episode 5. It's where Ahsoka comes along and she helps the Mandalorian decide what to do with Grogu. In fact, that's the first time we find out his name. And then she gets his help to take on this village that have been captured, because she needs answers from this one woman, and that woman is the same woman that we start off. Basically, there's someone's been captured and she's been rescued by not Sith, but their dark Jedi, I guess. The fighting sequences were fantastic. They were really good. I was a little bit sad watching one of them because obviously one of the main characters has died now, And he has such great presence in this.
Oh, he does.
When he's using force powers and he's barely moving, but he reminds me a lot of Vader. He's just... And his Padawan looks angry all the time. Like, she's the perfect... Always two they are, a master and an apprentice. What did you think?
Okay, so I have never seen Rebels.
Right.
So there was a lot of it, the nuance that I didn't pick up on, at least understanding the context.
Right. I
could see that there were nods here and there, or I was like, oh, that's probably referencing this or something, I really do like Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. I thought that was great. I like actually and I would have to look up her name.
her Padawan?
Yeah, Sabine, is that it?
Yeah, Sabine.
Natasha Liu Bordizzo, and even what's her name, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Them. I like them in this.
Do you know who she's married to?
Mary Elizabeth Winstead?
Yeah.
No.
Ewan McGregor. So she's married to Obi-Wan.
Oh, that's funny. There's got to be a huge age difference there, right?
Yeah, I think there is.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
I like the characterizations in here. David Tennant as the robot.
Oh my gosh.
Love it.
Good.
Love it. I don't know where the story's going, which is not an issue for me, but I don't know.
We've been let down before. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it yet. And I think for me, especially because this is more foreign to me, I mean, not the Star Wars universe, but this storyline, even the character
about Ahsoka.
No. I mean, my kids have told me little bits here and there, from, was it Clone Wars that she was in a lot of? And, and so I understand some of the context, but I don't totally get it or know it. So,
it's interesting. It's interesting that you have that. I did wonder about people that don't have that background. How much more connected are they going to be feeling? And it does seem like there's a little bit of a separation there.
Yeah, like I want to like it, and I don't dislike it by any means. I'm just kind of, I'm there, where I'm watching it, waiting to see how is this going to pan out. Is it going to be something that I really dive into and I get connected with, or is it something that I just kind of feel like I'm still out on the periphery, just kind of watching it happen? Yeah. Because I don't have any connection with Ahsoka. Outside of the Mandalorian episode, and knowing just who she is in the Clone Wars and stuff, and seeing her as a younger one. Yeah. So we'll see if that grows on me, if she becomes a character that I become invested in. Yeah. I do think because Dave Filoni directed episode 1. Yeah. It felt so much like The Mandalorian. Yeah. And I don't say that as a bad thing because I love The Mandalorian, but
it was a great first episode. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask you one question though? When you saw in the opening scene with the dude on the ship and he's in the bridge,
and he has that weird chair.
And that little where did they I was like instantly worried. Because I was like, this set looks like garbage, right?
Oh, right. I was just thinking it reminded me a lot of the original A New Hope. It's a trap. Because it looks like that. So I think maybe they were going for that look. Because even the chair did a similar, swinging around bit. I can see from plastic white floor and...
it was like, okay, well, we'll see. I mean, it also does though, it does kind of similar, the blips and the bloops and the blop, 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 blop.
It's all nostalgic Star Wars.
Exactly. So at first I was like, oh, and then I realized, okay, if you're putting us back into this time, then it fits a little better. But yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, I'm not instantly in love with it, but I also don't hate it. I'm just kind of right in the middle.
Well, you're allowed to not absolutely love it, Chris. I'm disappointed, but yeah, it's okay.
Oh, all right.
All right. What's on your list?
So this is one that we actually will agree on. I don't know if it's going to be on your list though, but you are so not invited to my bat mitzvah.
Oh, it wasn't on the list, but yeah, interesting. Okay.
It was sweet. It was funny. It was, we talked about in our Patreon. We were doing top 3 Adam Sandler movies. This is really not an Adam Sandler movie. I mean, no, it's a Sandler movie.
It's a Sandler film. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's in it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I like him in this because like what I had said in my review is that he feels like he's just playing himself, that he's just kind of
playing dad. Yeah.
Yeah. He's there in the background a little bit. And almost like maybe he didn't have scripted parts where he just gets to be dad. You know what I mean? Because it works because he's subtle. It's relatable. He's kind of that cheesy dad, but also like, good Lord, I have teenagers and they're nuts at this point. You know what I mean? As he looks around and like, it's melodramatic in spots. I think what I had said is it felt a little choppy in some of the storytelling. Like we have a whole bunch of vignettes. These little scenes that are then smashed together, which I know that's a movie, but the transitions from scene to scene didn't always feel natural. They felt kind of just like boom, 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 boom. But the sweetness, I think also it's just some of the realism that was captured within this, of the emotions. You and I had talked before we started recording about these kids live in these monster-sized mansions, and I can't relate to that at all.
Yeah,
no. I would like to.
But the family dynamic felt really real, authentic.
My wife and I burst out laughing when Jackie Sandler and Idina Menzel are talking at a front door, and behind Idina Menzel is you can't see him, but it's Adam Sandler and Sonny,
his
Sandler,
youngest
I believe,
daughter,
playing Stacy.
Yeah.
His real life daughter, but they're having this conversation, and anybody that is a parent who has had a teenager,
my gosh,
good.
Yeah, the I hate you bit cracked me up. I hate you. I was like, yeah, that's
so real.
That's
because it's just, and that's what was like hilarious to us. I don't know if everybody's going to laugh at that, but as a parent, and my kids are no longer teenagers, they're older than that, but it just was like, oh yeah, we've had some of those similar conversations, and you don't even have to see it. You're just hearing it and you know exactly what's going on, and the awkward interaction between the two, and they're like,
yeah, it's yeah, the real moments I thought were good, but there were some bits that I just thought really added to, like padded to make it that much better. So the teacher or the rabbi, the female teacher, I thought she was fantastic, hilarious awesome. Most of the time. She sings her teaching. She's friends with the class, but she has different hats for when she needs to be serious and like angry, and they're like this. It's really blinged out hats, with the design in the back. I just thought she was fantastic.
She was, yeah. It worked. I think that's what it was, that it was just a sweet movie. There's nothing profound in this. It's very predictable. It has all of the teen comedy, rom-com-ish type of, familiar beats to it, where you see the progression, you know what's going to happen, okay, well, we're going to have the fallout here. It's going to cause the drama. There's going to be the disagreements. There's maybe some tears, a lesson learned. And then do they make up? So
and Mateus is the nicest dude, and they just kept ignoring him.
Right.
He's the nicest guy.
He's so good.
Yeah.
He reminded me of who was it? Another actor, but there's no way in the world that he's the same actor, because I think it was like 20 years ago or something like that, but he resembled him. And yeah, he was just such a nice little kid. I mean, that was, and sweet and good-hearted. And I think that's also what I liked about the movie is that, excuse me, we still had a lot of good kids being emulated in this.
Yeah, that was surprising. Even the so-called the trio that they could have been the bad. Yeah, the clique. They were still kind of nice. And not nearly as evil as other films as depicted that kind of dynamic or that clique group.
Yeah, they were a very toned down Mean Girls.
For sure.
And so you use them. I mean, they're there as kind of some of the villain aspect of it, at least antagonistic, but not people that first off you hate, and then also not ones that you wish bad things on or anything else. They're just, they're there for some conflict. So this is an easy movie. This is something to put on. It's lighthearted. It's not very long. I mean, it's an hour and 40 something minutes, so it's fine. It's not groundbreaking, none of that. I mean, this is not life changing or anything else. But if you, like for me, I had not been watching some of the best stuff. I actually, I got a screener for this and had put off the screener so I could watch a different movie. And I turned that movie off after about 20 minutes because I was just like, I can't do this. Right. And so then I watched this one. So it's good. It's fun. It's, safe, I think. So,
here's a question for our listeners and for you, Chris. Do you remember your 13th birthday?
Dude, I barely remember yesterday. No, I don't remember my 13th
Probably
birthday.
would have remembered if we had like a coming out party. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Had there been something like that, yeah. Funny enough, I was talking with my kids, or we were talking as a family really a couple weeks ago, and I don't know how it's the stream of consciousness thing that happens at the dinner table, like while you were sleeping, Guy Lombardo. I didn't say Guy Lombardo was tall. Anyway, we were talking about things that we remember or whatever. My son, my oldest, he pinpoints dates. He knows dates. And he can tell you what was going on at that date, the time, you know what I mean? So we're like, when was that? And he'll be like, oh, it was this. And then he'll talk about what people were wearing and everything. And you're like, whoa, that's crazy how your memory works. But we were talking about Halloween. And for me, the last time I went trick-or-treating was, I did it once in junior high with friends, but really before that, it was second grade. I had not been trick-or-treating since I was in second grade because when I was in third grade, I got chicken pox during Halloween. And so I just stopped.
Do parents not go with kids, though? Did you not take
in the
kids?
80s? Are you insane? Dude, come on. Our parents didn't even know where we were.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, we...
Just get out of the house. We're having our own party, yeah.
Oh, no, they didn't even do that. They just we're gone, whatever. So, yeah, in junior high, I had friends who their parents were in the military, and we had an Air Force base in the city where I grew up, and so we went to their house on base, and then we went to the officers' homes because they gave out the full-size candy bars.
Nice.
Yeah. And a lot of the time, they just set the bucket outside with it was like honor system. Dude.
What honor system?
I'm a 14-year-old or a 13-year-old,
I'm taking one for my sister's friend and everybody down the family tree. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, my trick-or-treating, we lived in Africa, so, wrestling lions. Yeah, that's what we did. Yeah,
that's what you did. I'm gonna choose treat.
Rub your belly. Nice kitty. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, what's next on your list?
Okay, so this is a movie from 2020 that is now on Amazon Prime, at least in the UK. I'd seen it pop up before, and I think The main protagonist, who is Isabel May, she plays Zoe Hell. I thought she looks like they wanted her to be, what's her name from the X-Men films, and blonde actress, young
Jennifer Lawrence,
thank you.
Okay.
See? Yeah, we're doing like the movie quiz guessing game. Yeah, so she looks like she was cast to look like Jennifer Lawrence. She looks very similar to her in this film, and it's called Run, Hide, Fight. A 17-year-old Zoe Hell uses her wit, survival skills, and compassion to fight for her life and those of her fellow classmates. So the thing is, I hadn't read the synopsis and I hadn't watched the trailer. I just like the look of it. And the beginning, I think I watched the first few seconds, and it's of her dad teaching her to hunt. And I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, this looks interesting. So my wife and I, we sit down and we watch this. And the more I watch, I'm like, oh no, I think I know what this is. And it's based on a school shooting. And I was like, dude, this is going to be triggering for so many people watching this. This was surprisingly good, though. It has an interesting story, but I think you really root for the protagonist because it's father and daughter who've lost the mother to cancer, and the daughter was really, I mean, depending on your family, but she was really close to her mother, and she's closed herself off. She was happy and light, and now she just wears her father's like army jacket as like a protective covering. He's taught her to hunt. She's a strong fighting woman now. And yeah, so you root for her from the beginning because you can see the pain. She's not letting anybody in. And then she finds herself in school one day with multiple gunmen who have their own agenda, and they're upset. And you know, some of the gunmen just come across as absolutely mental. Other one has their own agenda, and there's multiple kind of personalities. It's vicious, and you will see a few people die. So if and I know it's when my wife and I were talking about this, is like in America, this is probably very triggering for a lot of people because there's been so many shootings in schools. It seems like there's one every week, like not even joking. So chances are you probably know people that have been involved, or you yourself have been somehow involved in one way or another. So films like these are hard to watch. So that's just like a massive word of warning. If that's triggering for you, don't watch this, because this is definitely one of those. Although there's a better outcome, I feel. There's a bit of like a Hollywood heroine. She becomes like the savior, sort of Die Hard in school thing. Less romanticized than that. But there are things they're like, oh, okay, she's MacGyvering now, or she's Die Harding now, which is great. So I was rooting for her the whole time. It's really harrowing, and you wonder who's going to survive. It's filmed immaculately. We also have the father, who's Thomas Jane, whom I'm a big fan of. One of the aspects of this film that really works is she talks to her mother a lot. Her mother appears with her. Like her mother's dead, but she sees her mother, and it was a nice way just to show her psychosis of what she's going through, but also having that relationship of her, because she's running down like corridors and hallways a lot by herself, rather than have her alienated by herself in really extreme moments, or where she's washing blood off and she's looking in the mirror. You see the mother, who's played by Radha Mitchell, another great actress. And so it really has much more heart, and there's much more depth than I expected. I think it's probably like a straight to, I don't think I went to the cinema, but straight to like streaming.
I think it was released here in the US in the theaters, but I don't think it lasted long just because of the content. Wasn't.
Yeah, this just went straight to streaming. So surprisingly good.
I'm struggling to remember if I've seen this because it's very familiar, but I also saw The Fallout with Jenna Ortega, and I watched that at Sundance, and Not the exact same premise, but still surrounding a school shooting.
Similar. I prefer this to the Fallout because I had issues with Fallout. But anyway,
I was like, as you were talking, I was watching the trailer play for Run, Hide, Fight, and it like I could tell. I was like, oh yeah, okay, so she's gonna get out, but then she's gonna go back in, and
like why would you do that?
Yeah, but I can't tell if that's because I've already seen the trailer or if I've already seen the movie. And so, brilliant. Okay. Well, I'm glad though. I'm glad this was good. But yeah, absolutely a triggering and yeah, for the U.S. I mean, good Lord, that's a whole nother. Yeah. Anyway,
another kettle of fish. Can of
yeah,
worms.
you and I could talk about some of the things that have just happened recently that what? Anyway. Okay. Happier times? Yeah. Ready to go?
Yeah, ready to go. Yeah.
Okay. This, I needed something. I needed a win, so I went to something that I actually watch quite often because I love pretty much everything about it. The story beats the. It's not really underdog story, but it is like a champion type story. Ford v Ferrari. With
how many times have you seen this film now?
I watched this one less than I watched The Martian. Right. I watched The Martian about 6 or 7 times a year.
You sure it's not just Matt Damon?
Well, I do love Matt Damon. I mean, I because he works in this, but in Ford v Ferrari, it's also Christian Bale.
Yeah.
I mean
good Lord, Christian Bale's such a great actor.
He's so good, and he's just the interactions, the dynamics between the two. It's directed by James Mangold, who, if you didn't like,
he's all right.
Indiana Jones, the most recent one, whatever. I mean, this is a strong entry in his.
Yeah,
exactly. So I love the pacing of this, the storytelling. I mean, you're telling a dramatized story of real people. And so, I mean, some of it's probably embellished, some of it's, did never happen, some of it did happen. However that is, it unimportant because the story itself is very captivating. And I think kind of similar to Gran Turismo, which I just watched, a week or two ago.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to be a car fan or a race fan to appreciate this story because there is racing aspects to it. Absolutely. I mean, but it's really more so of this man conquering so much. When we first meet Christian Bale, he is an absolute tool to everybody. Like nobody likes him, and he's abrasive. He's just obnoxious. But I think that also comes about because he's right. Like he's so knowledgeable and he's so good at what he does that arrogance.
There's a way to be right without being arrogant.
there is, yes, and we get to see that transition in him, which I really love. You see a softening to him. You see a.
Do you want to hear a shocking revelation? I've never seen this. I've never seen this film. Every time I saw the trailer, it just didn't look fun. It looked boring.
And the friendship was over.
I will rectify it because you like it so much.
Dude, yeah, realistically, I watch this one about 4 times a year.
Dude.
Because
how long has it been out now?
What was it, 2019?
Yeah.
It's 2.5 hours long, and I don't notice the time at all. We saw it in the theater. And just, blown away with it. My wife, who does not like racing, does not really. Yeah. We're not a sports family, first off, you know, but she was engrossed in it, also loved it. And so it's just the story, the performances are amazing. Josh, what's his name? Let me get it right. I need
Hutchinson?
No, Lucas. Josh Lucas
yeah.
is somebody you are going to love to hate.
Oh, really? He plays that character well, doesn't he?
He does such a good job in this. John Bernthal is wonderful. Noah Jupe as Ken Miles' son, Christian Bale's son, his character's son, outstanding. Katrina Balfe as the wife, outstanding. I mean, there's so many wonderful performances within this that, and it really is the way that it's shot and cut together also. There's adrenaline and there's motion to it, but then there's this beauty and this calmness that's also captured within all of the speed. And it's brilliant, dude. You need to sort that out and watch this because it is
okay.
Even if you don't like sports, even if you don't like racing, this is so much more than a racing movie. So
okay. Nice. Okay, it's that time in our podcast. Get the eye of the tiger. Let's go.
Okay, gonna unlock my arms. We're about to brawl here. I think I know what you're gonna talk about.
Adrian. Okay, so Netflix sent me the screeners for Who is Erin Carter. And they said in their screener letter, here is the 4 episodes of the way they worded it. Here's the complete 4 episodes, alluding to it being 4 episodes long. So I watched the 4 episodes and I thought, that cannot be the ending. Good Lord. That episode? It ends nowhere. It's like the big heist and that's it. It's like, oh, so you've explained who Erin Carter is, but you're not going to tell us what happens in the future, in the present.
Unimportant.
Cool. And then I figured out that there was another 3 episodes to go. So I watched those 3.
I'm going to stop you for a second. Did your camera die? Because
this
is brilliant.
Look at that still.
That is like glorious right there.
Let's go into the archives of Ruben's
my gosh. For everybody on the audio, Ruben, his hands are kind of up and his one eye is closed, one eye is sort of open. It's I don't even know, you wouldn't call him deranged looking, but it's like you catch somebody mid sneeze. You've seen some of those photos where they just look really weird. That's exactly what we had there. Ruben was just spectacular looking. And that one, regardless of what he thinks of the thumbnail, that is going to be the thumbnail.
We didn't even do thumbnails this time around.
We didn't, but we don't need to now.
Yeah, I guess. Brilliant. What was I talking about?
Okay, so you're talking about Who is Erin Carter. They sent you the first 4 episodes.
Right. Yes.
Episode 4 ends and you're like, what?
Yeah, so there were actually 3 more. So I watched that on day of release. The 3. It's weird because it feels like it has 3 different endings. 4 could have been a terrible ending, but still. 6 could have been an ending. And then 7 is the actual ending. But it also ends, even though they say it's a limited series, with the possibility of doing more. Which I was like, that's weird for a limited series to suggest that. But all right. Anyway. I love this. I thought it was great. I thought it got better with each episode. I thought the mystery part was the first half, and then the second is them surviving as a family unit. Who is Erin Carter? Without doing spoilers, is about a teacher, or an almost teacher, a substitute sort of teacher with a young daughter. We see at the beginning, she is in a like a hotel room, and she obviously is running away from something dangerous or someone dangerous. That's what we think as an audience. And then 5 years later, she started a new life. She's married. She's living in, where is she? Is it Barcelona? Spain?
Yeah. I think she's in Spain. Yeah.
Something like that. Beautiful place to live. Great people, and she has a very suburban lifestyle. It reminded me a little bit of The Long Kiss Goodnight. Have you ever seen the Gina Davis and Samuel Jackson? Like, chefs do that when she's chopping and suddenly she's remembering. She hasn't lost her memory, but we don't know what her past is. We know it's probably dangerous, and we find out who she is midway, where there's like a whole episode dedicated, great episode actually, just dedicated to kind of filling us in. And I think I know what Chris doesn't like about this series is that there's so many unbelievable points where our character should be dead, or that she just keeps on being able to survive. There's a brilliant reference in my review where she does this, like she stabs herself in the leg with adrenaline, I think, and she's being like shot in the gut, which basically is a death sentence to most people. But she's like, "Woohoo, I'm up!" And there's basically like Crank from Jason Statham, you know, just like, I can do anything now. There's so many moments like that. I didn't mind. I thought the fighting was fun. Like it wasn't John Wick, but it was like, you know, by how she felt, she's had training, but the people she's fighting also have had training. Therefore, we get a brawl, and they're using their environment to like beat over each other. I love the movement of the camera when she's running away from jumping on rooftops and falling down onto cars. I thought the action was handled really well. There are acting moments from our main protagonist that I didn't quite understand. It felt like ADR. So sometimes she would be like, "I'm Erin Carter," and it sounded like she was putting on an American accent, because I don't think it is her natural language. She might be Spanish. What did you watch her in? Snabacash.
Oh my gosh, she plays Leia in Snabacash, and she is brilliant. I love her. She's actually Swedish.
Right. Well, that makes much more sense. So there were moments when they were doing that. It felt like either she had gone in and ADR'd after the fact, and it just felt awkward, off. But that was just a little bit. For the most part, I think I just found myself frustrated that she hadn't ever come clean to her husband earlier about like who she is, because that probably would have solved a lot of the issues they were having. But in order for us to have as much drama as there is in this series, I thought it was great. I thought the daughter is probably the strongest part, one of the strongest parts of the series. The fact that she's fighting with her demons from her past, and that has a physical manifestation that is like haunting her almost. And it's not until we find out why and what it is she's seeing. I thought that was a really clever kind of add-on. Anyway, that's why I loved it. Why did you not like it, Chris?
Well, you know, and it's funny because it's not like I hated this. First off, I mean, Evan Ahmad, who plays Erin Carter in this, like I said, I love her in Snabacash. So I was excited to see this. I thought that the survivability was ridiculous. Didn't ruin it for me. Just kind of like when it didn't ruin it for me in Scream 5 and 6. You know, I mean, you're like, come
why
on.
are you leaning up against that ambulance? You've been stabbed badly, like to the hilt. And it's a flesh wound.
Yeah. You cut me too deep, man.
I feel a little woozy.
I think I'm dying. Mom's going to be so pissed. So I appreciate that they had the patience to wait until episode 4 to fill us in.
That was great.
Up until this point, you know, we have so much just questions. Like, she is so ambiguous. We know there's something in her past. We know, I mean, obviously right from the opening scene, she's on the run. So that's, you know, that's not a spoiler there, but there's something about her that has made her this way. And then we've seen little glimpses here and there of abilities or training or whatever. And you're like, where does this come from?
The fight scene in the school was very gross point blank. I liked it so much.
Yeah.
It was just brilliant. While there's like a play or something going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she sees someone from her past, and she follows, and a fight scene ensues. And I thought it was brutal. It was great. But yeah. Very gross point blank.
I think what started it off for me was the monster-sized plot convenience of the supermarket scene, where
right, they happen to be there, right? Yeah, I mean, it is. It totally is when you think about it. Like,
you know, in a different country,
happening. Yeah,
I mean, it's very random, and so. And here's the thing, like
Jeff Goldblum would say, "Life finds a way," Chris.
Well, life does find a way because there are writers. Pay your writers, also streaming platforms. when I was doing my review, I felt like I was like at a tennis match, because I would be like, well, I like this, but then I don't really like this, but I like this. This is not very strong here. And so I think what it came down to was I was ambivalent by the end.
Oh, okay.
Like I wasn't excited. And I had been really looking forward to this, and I was excited going into the show.
Yeah.
I think it as more and more went on, I just kind of was like, okay, a convenience placed here. And the plot protection, the character protection didn't bother me as much as it could have. I think when it came down to it, though, I was just, like I said, ambivalent. Like I didn't care once all was said and done. I do think that the open-endedness, like you brought up at the end, was a very weird choice to do.
Yeah. It's called a limited series.
Unless they're going to. Now, see, I don't know who wrote this, and I don't know if it's based on a story, like a book, or if it's just an original concept or whatever. Because now we know who Erin Carter is. So I could see them continuing on with a character, not from this, not this series specifically. And that would open it up. I don't think, though, that she's a very reluctant person then at that point. And then you spend a lot of the time her arguing against the continuation for it to continue on. And this is all hypothetical and, conjecture, so it doesn't really matter. It's not a bad series. For me, it wasn't memorable. And by the end of it, I was just kind of like,
okay. We should watch it again so you can figure out why you're wrong.
Okay.
Because it was great. It was really fun.
I will do that after I watch The
Martian. You're taking it too seriously, Chris. After you watch.
Again. Oh, gosh. Well, unfortunately, that's all I have on my list.
All right. Should we talk about FrightFest now?
Let's do that. Yeah. I'll touch on the movie that I watched that was in FrightFest that did not make my best stuff either, but go for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's put that in perspective. This is its own segment that I'm doing instead of Over 9,000, the anime segment this week. And we will say, I guess, what we gave these, because it's like separate. Some will be good, some will be bad.
Exactly. Yeah. This is not. Yeah, we can say watch it or don't watch it, but
yeah.
So what did you? I know you've seen a lot more of them. I have a couple that are coming that I'm watching this coming week.
Yeah.
That are coming out. Some of them haven't reached their embargo yet, and everything else. So, what? Tell me about something that you watched.
Okay, so I watched a film called The Moor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just start off with the strongest one. This is out of all of them that I've watched. This is the best one I've seen, directed by Chris Cronin. Claire is approached by the father of a murdered childhood friend to help her investigate the haunted moor he believes is his son's final resting place. So it's based on a serial killer that has put a bunch of kids in this moor. But the moor is miles and miles and miles long. It has that sort of marshy land that's really dangerous. It looks like grass, but you can walk in it and then sink. And unless you have someone to pull you out, like it's almost like quicksand, that sort of thing. There's ditches and bubbles. I don't know if you've ever seen online where like the mounds, the land moves because it's so like liquid underneath. It's sketchy. That is what it's like. And then the weather changes like really quick. Thick fog. You like barely can't see in front of your hand, or like it will just rain. And I think it's like 20 miles in like one direction to another. So it probably even bigger than that. I think there was this bit where they showcase the search where the cops had looked already, And it was like this one map. And it said, this area. And it said, but I thought you were searching here. He said, oh, no, that's 5 miles that way. And he said, oh, you think the moor is this? And then he puts 5 different maps together. He said, this is the moor. And you're like, oh, flip, how would you find anything? So there's a reason why the film ends up being a little bit supernatural, because the father is so desperate to find his son's resting place that he uses like a medium to kind of help them, whether you believe in that stuff or not. So that's where the film goes. The thing that I loved about this film is how it looks. It's so bleak and miserable, but it's inviting as well. Like you from the protection of your couch, you can see the grossness and the moodiness of the moor. And it sets up the scariness of the moor so well. I think I mentioned it in my review. There are moments when you just know, like, oh, this place is bad. But it's a horizon of grass. Yeah, and somehow the director has made it look like really eerie, foreboding. There's the shot of a foot that's like on the edge, the end of the road, and where the grass starts, which is like the beginning of the moor. Oh, wow. And the hesitation of the character wanting to take that step, not wanting to go. And you're like, I mean, I can't actually wait to watch it again with someone else to see their reaction to it, because it's a slow burn, but it's not like a slow burn that you get bored of. It's just there's a tenseness to the film that builds and builds and builds and builds. And then there are a couple of moments that I was shocked by. Like, I was like, really? There's a lot of folklore history that it never kind of tells you. You have to figure out. Oh, like, okay. There's none of this kind of monologuing of like exposition of story. If they're monologuing about their lives, or it's just part of the dialogue and there's the story. But most of it is showing. It's all in camera, which is great.
Nice.
There's a real mix of sadness, of loss, proper horror, family, and then just guts, because you have to have guts to continue searching for the stuff that you're experiencing in the moor. Let me just... The sheep, scariest sheep I've ever seen, that's for sure.
Okay.
I love this. This is great. This is really good. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Where you may have said, where does it take place? Is it just UK or is it like Scotland or?
Yeah. Good question.
I mean, I know where it was filmed. It was filmed in Yorkshire, but
yeah, I think it's probably set. It's northeast.
UK.
I mean, like I'm double
England?
checking.
Okay.
Movie.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's not, make it a break. I'm more
curious.
There's
a small village in Yorkshire. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly where my son is going to university. So.
Tell him to stay away from the moors.
Stay away from the moors, son. Yeah, this is one to look out for. I think if you like a good folktale that is a builder, I think you're going to really enjoy this.
Sweet. I'm going to have to... I can't wait till it... because it's coming out, FrightFest London, and so the day we're recording it is the day that it premieres.
Yeah. But
there's
a lot of the FrightFest stuff, a lot of them is it's going to be out soon digitally. So I don't think it'll be very long.
Yeah, some of these, you hope that they'll be picked up by a studio and not distributed digitally first, but actually give it a theatrical run.
Give it a theater. Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah,
cool.
This is why I like FrightFest, because there's a lot of stuff here and showing your creativity. There's a mix of talent, but it's giving people a platform that, it's properly respected. Even if the film isn't that good, it really respects the art of filmmaking. So in London, they really kind of jazz it up, and they do all the kind of the frills and whistles of making it a real big kind of premiere event. And I don't know, you can check some of the pictures online. That it looks fantastic. They had the international premiere for Cobweb, which I know you've seen, which is, I think it was just out yesterday. They did like a whole kind of set, like at the front of a house sort of thing.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Do you want to talk about one that you've seen?
How many do you have? Because I only have one, so I don't know if you want to.
I'll talk about another one. Okay, so
Okay.
there's one called. I don't think it's The Law. I think it's just called Law.
Oh yeah.
2023 Law. It's 4 friends arrange a ghostly excursion. Their guide asks them each to tell the scariest story they have ever heard. But little do they know, the stories would have major consequences for them and others. This is one of those films that at the end, people are going to be like, what? Does this mean... Is that what I think it means? I think people are going to have to talk around what it actually means. And I think unless you know that one of the directors, it's going to be difficult for people to understand, because it has a sort of ambiguity to the ending. I thought it meant one thing, and I managed to speak to one of the directors, and he said, yeah, no, it means this instead, which I thought was hilarious. And I thought, oh, really? I didn't. But when he explained it to me, I was like, okay, that does actually make a lot of sense. So it's a really interesting idea of how to do an anthology. 4 friends go on an excursion. They tell scary stories to appease the ghosts, like the excursion's guide is telling them, here's your totem, throw it in the fire, and tell your scary story. And so once they start telling the story, we then go as the viewer, we see their story played out by whatever director's doing it. And so that's when you get like the folklore story, you get the creature feature story, you get the supernatural story, and each one is played with different expertise. And I think whatever you're watching, whatever's your favorite, you'll probably lean more to one of the stories. I really like the creature feature one. Because it has a nice twist on the ending. I like the folklore one. Reminds me a lot of Hereditary, actually. Really creepy and gross. There was one I didn't quite like, but I think they all have their expertise. But it's really nicely rounded up. There's one actor. He's on the poster, but I can't see his name in the credits. I know him, but I literally
looks like Lance Henriksen.
That's him. Yeah. Is it Lance Henriksen? Let me just double check. No, that's not. Oh wait, maybe it is. No, it's not.
I don't think it is. No.
What's his name?
Well, and one of the dudes on the poster looks like Krychek from the X-Files, and then the person below him looks like Sally Field. So,
okay, the
it's
guy
like
with the
we got a movie
biggest
from Wish.
Face on the poster is the narrator. He's the excursion guide.
Okay.
Man, I wish I could remember his name.
Is it Steve? Is he Rufus Hound?
Oh, maybe.
Okay. No.
Gosh, this is terrible. Rufus. No.
Do they, while you were looking that up, do they do like, how are the special effects or the makeup or anything? Is it practical effects?
It's practical. Yeah.
Oh,
it's practical. So you get the gore, you get the creature feature. I mean, I didn't notice, and it was great.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Looked really good, really
Nice.
great practical effects. The guy. That's why I went to try and find his name, but I literally can't see his name in the credits at all. I wonder if it's a secret as to who he is. Okay, so he is the guy that sold the film to me because he has such foreboding presence. When he's talking, you just know that something's up with him.
Ooh.
But the way he gets everybody to kind of share their story or what he says in between, he is fantastic. Like, I want to watch more of him, but I also don't.
Oh, okay. Creepy, unsettling. Yeah.
Really, yeah.
Nice.
This was good.
Okay. Cool. The one I watched this week, I would not recommend watching. Okay. It's called That's a Wrap, and it is very indie, it is very low budget. And those are not the reasons that I would say to not watch this. Low budget and indie don't even come into play in why this is not good to watch. The acting is like amateurish. Like you don't like they believe they're in a good movie, and they're playing it as straight as possible, except the dialogue is atrocious. The dialogue is way too long. There's a 15-minute exposition. It feels like 15 minutes. Maybe it's shorter, but it felt like it at the end that literally was putting me to sleep. It was so slow, so uninteresting, and just terrible. I mean, none of the characters are redeemable, so you don't care about any of them. So the thing that this movie has going for it is that it is a slasher, and it slashes. It gives us some glorious practical effects. There is blood and gore and creative kills, which if you were to just watch it for that, it's cool. I mean, there's props that are used that you're like, gosh, oh, that's disgusting. The editing is kind of nauseating at times. Like you're flashing back and forth. There's a lot of strobing lights. There's repetitiveness within the scene itself. So as it flashes back and forth to different angles or whatever, you'll see the exact same, my microphone, see the exact same angle and the same, it felt like you were watching just the same clip again and again. Does that make sense? You know? Yeah. Okay. It feels like a softcore porn also, at points.
What is this film called again?
It's called That's a Wrap. I mean, there's a point, and I don't even care about the sex. It doesn't fit within the movie. That's the thing. Like it's like we're just gonna put this here for shock value, maybe. I don't know. So it doesn't add anything. But if you like TNA and P&D, then you're in for a treat.
I like
so there you go.
J.
Huh? PB&J, is that what you said?
PB&J's, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think that. No. But the movie, it's, what is it, 94 minutes long. You feel 94 minutes long. I mean, it is. You have, they play up stereotypes, which is fine, but again, it doesn't lean into the campiness that the movie is. You know what I mean? Like this horror, you have this cheesy story, this unbelievable
If you know it's
setup.
bad, you need to embrace it, don't you?
Yeah, and that's what was disappointing, because I mean, it's from the opening scene, it's not good. I mean, there's no explanation for what's going on. It makes no sense. And really it makes no sense in any of it, because because something happens at the begining, and then when the explanation at the end you're like, wait, what? That's not timing correctly. Whatever. Okay, we're just going to go past that.
Oh dear.
Yeah, you have characters. I mean, the whole setup is there's this movie that has wrapped. They're having a wrap party. The only people, though, invited are the cast and crew, and it's a very small cast and crew. And because the director is afraid that somebody's going to steal his idea, he plays it. Everybody plays it like they think it's a good movie, and had they just twisted it just a little bit, just to dive into the, because the overacting is there, but they're overacting in a serious manner. Yeah. And it's like, oh, it doesn't work. So yeah, unfortunately, I was really bummed about this, because, the slasher aspect of it, great. I mean, brutal and just blood, and oh, it's awesome. Like, yeah, I love this part. I just don't want any of the other parts of the movie. So yeah. Okay.
The final one that I've seen, because I've got a few others to will myself to watch, because you want more of the great ones rather than the ones that I like.
Yes.
And it's the worst thing to come down on somebody's artistic impression when they've spent years making it and filming it. And we know how hard this is. Hard.
Yeah,
but if we're ever going to be,
exactly,
indies, you want to be. So I'm always trying to find something good about it. So there's this film called Herd, another London Fright Fest. I think it might be HERD.
Okay, that's what I was gonna. I wasn't sure which kind of herd there.
I think, and I don't think it's a world premiere, but I think it's like international. Might have had a few festivals in the US already, but basically, when a woman trying to outrun her past ends up trapped between a zombie outbreak and warring militia groups, she must fight to find her way back home. So this film is not what it sells itself to be. Even the poster with the skull on the front sells it as like a horror. There's barely any zombies in this, probably about 6.
You don't get to say a zombie outbreak and then not have a lot of zombies. Exactly.
Yeah. And the makeup, the practical effects were different. They're like big boils and stuff like look gross. And I thought, yeah, fair enough. The action with the militia is fine. The thing about this the film is actually about a relationship that's a relationship that's breaking because of her past, of the place that they end up in. She's a very closed off person, and so they go in this canoe trip, and while they go in this these two women go in this canoe trip, and while that is happening, the world goes to poop, or at least America does. There's a couple of nice ideas here, but the thing is, it has too many themes going for it. So one, it's all about this deep drama relationship, and that it spends a lot of time on that. And in amongst it is about broken families, and then a large portion of it is preaching about the type of America they want, and like racism and equality and all of that, very much at the forefront. That's part of like the militia of those almost white supremacist Ku Klux Klan type of people, and those type of people that suddenly come, well, in every movie that seems to be rife when the apocalypse hits. It's like those sort of militia groups that, are suddenly taking control, and the zombie is like, it's a thing that's happening. I like one of the kind of twists on the zombie play thing at the end. I thought that was quite good. But for the most part, this is not the movie that's sold to me. It's not a horror. I wasn't scared at all. The action is fine, but not great. It does feel like it has a low budget, which it probably does because it's in Indiana. I think the acting between our two main protagonists is fine. You believe them in a relationship, and the drama there. But some of the other casts was just like, oof. So it's fine, and that's not really how you want to describe a movie, is it? Fine.
No, Corbin Burnson is in this, and he looks, at least looking from the cast, he's probably the most well-known actor in this.
Okay.
So take that for what that is.
If you say so. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, it's fine. So, one that's not on the Fright Fest, but has just come out now, I urge everybody to watch. It's more than fine. Clown Apocalypse. Or Apocalypse Clown, which is actually the correct.
Apocalypse Clown.
Apocalypse Clown. Yeah, let's get that
I
right.
want to see this.
Is a movie. It exists. It's real. Okay, first of all, anybody going into a film with the title Apocalypse Clown, if you're thinking anything serious or Oscar worthy, then I don't know. No. So here's the synopsis. When a mysterious technological blackout plunges Ireland into anarchy and chaos, a group of failed, washed-up clowns are forced to traverse the country for one last shot at their dreams. I love this whole premise. This is brilliant. This showcases all types of clowns that you get. One's a mime, and I hate mime clowns. They're terrible. They're the worst. One's a clown that's so failed that he's decided not to be a clown, but he can't help himself being a clown. One's that clown that everybody hates, they're just in it for the business and kind of sleazy. The other one likes to do tricks, and there is a female Russian that thinks the best way to be funny is to be terrifying. You get all of those guys together, and Then you get a reporter that is not yet a good reporter. She wants a good news story. And she's happened to have slept with one of the clowns before, who's totally in love with her. So that's your setup for the world that's gone crazy, right? And with the Irish kind of dialogue and humor, it just is brilliant. It's so stupid, but it has some heart to it. But there's a story that you kind of care about. It has a feeling of like a Shaun of the Dead sort of thing. You know, it's that kind of setup. I just was so surprised by this. When I saw the post, I thought this is going to be terrible. And then I was like, how is this not terrible? it's
Those are great when they're that surprise, especially when you expect them to be just, ugh. Yeah, I think if you go into this thinking anything other than somewhat ridiculous, then you're. I mean, it's like everybody who went into Winnie the Pooh and Blood and Honey, expecting masterpiece. What?
Quickly before we wrap up, the actor I was trying to think about in Law, is Richard Brake. He's not credited in Law for some reason, but it is him as the character that holds everything together.
Oh wow! Okay.
Fantastic actor.
Nice. Okay. Sweet. That's cool. That's weird that they don't have him. Listed in the credits.
It is weird, but yeah, if you know Richard Brake, then you'll know that he's a great actor and has lots of presence.
Ooh, he was in Barbarian.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's great. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Sweet.
Cool. Well, that's everything from my side. You got anything to add?
No, I have nothing. So other than, hey, thank you. We appreciate you joining us. We would love to know some of the best things that you watched this week. We'd also love to know your thoughts on some of the movies that we talked about. Did you love them? Did you hate them? Have you not even seen them yet? Let us know what you're watching. We'd love to hear it. Don't forget also, we have a Patreon opportunity, patreon.com/thebeardedones. It's on the screen. It's in the description below. £1 a month is what the entry price is there to get access to over 60 videos. Most recent one that's going to be up there is top 3 Adam Sandler movies, which entertaining, love him or hate him. There's stuff in there for everybody. But also there's a few videos that are outside the paywall. So if you just want to get a sampling before committing £1 or like $1.30, something like that a month, you can see some of those as well. Don't forget also, we do have an extended audio version of what you're watching right now. That's available on pretty much any podcasting platform. If you go over there, if you could rate and review us, that would be outstanding. And don't forget also to like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube-y things. Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday, me, Chris, Movies and Munchies. With that, we will see you next week. All right, take care.